What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over all the details that you guys need to know about the new specialist system in Battlefield 2042, which is essentially going to be replacing the class system from previous games. So it's a pretty massive change to the game, and we're going to be covering every aspect of it in this video. Before we get into it, I've done an absolute bombardment of content today on both of my channels surrounding Battlefield 2042 and all the info that we know so far. I was lucky enough to get an early look at the game last week for only a select handful of creators, and we learned so much about the game, all of which we're allowed to talk about. So I have a heap of videos coming on this exclusive info in the next few weeks and months. I've already done a trailer breakdown on this channel, and I actually got to interview one of the producers for Battlefield 2042 on my other channel. So check that out through the link down in the description, and be sure to subscribe to both channels so you don't miss any exclusive info on the game in the next couple of weeks. And about 30 minutes after this video goes live, I will be uploading all the details about the 7 confirmed maps in the game, along with some images of the maps as well, and that will be up on the other channel. So like I said, be sure to check that out if you are interested. But with all of that out of the way, guys, let's get stuck right into it. So like I said, the new specialist system is going to be essentially replacing the class system that we know and love from all the previous titles in the Battlefield franchise, which definitely sounds a little bit daunting and sounds like one of those changes that no one really asked for. But I think once you guys hear how this all works, you'll be just as excited as I am. Obviously in the past we've had 4 classes, those being Assault, Medic, Support and Recon, or in the older titles it was Assault, Engineer, Support and Recon. And obviously specific weapons are tied to those classes, so snipers were tied to Recon, LMGs were tied to Support, and so on and so forth. How this is going to work in Battlefield 2042, however, is that there are now going to be specialists rather than classes, and this is designed to essentially open up that class system and give the players much more freedom in the way that we play the game, as well as the weapons that we can choose depending on the class. But I'll touch on the weapon side of things towards the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that, as that is arguably the most important aspect. Now, there are 4 confirmed specialists as of right now, although they did confirm there will be 10 specialists at launch, as well as 4 new specialists added to the game over the first year of launch, all completely free for everyone. But as of right now, we only know of 4 confirmed specialists in terms of just knowing anything about those specialists anyway. The specialists that we know of are Casper, who is a Recon style specialist, Webster McKay, who is an Assault style specialist, Maria Falk, who is a Support type specialist, and finally Boris, who is an Engineer type specialist. So I'm going to go into detail about these specialists in just a minute and explain all the differences between them and what gadgets they have and all that good stuff, but I will just explain the actual system in a little bit more depth before we go into detail on each specific specialist. So like I said, this system will be replacing the class system in the game. However, you will have noticed when I was introducing the specialists that they do still fall under a class system that we're used to from previous titles. For example, Casper is a Recon style specialist, so his playstyle, his gadgets and just his strengths and weaknesses in general will play very similar to how the typical Recon class would play in any of the other titles. It's more of a stealthy sort of information gathering style that will play very similar to the typical Recon class. We then have Maria Falk, who comes under the umbrella of a Support type specialist, and although it is referred to as Support in this game, she is essentially exactly what you'd expect from a typical Medic class in older titles. So she can revive teammates, and her strengths and weaknesses revolve around that typical Medic playstyle. So as you can see, even though those classes are still there in a way, you no longer go into a game and say, you know, I think I'll choose to play as a Medic this match. Instead, you can now select a specialist that best suits your preferred playstyle, and there will be multiple specialists that come under that playstyle that you're used to from previous games. So again, using Falk as an example, if I join a game and I want to play that, you know, Medic type of playstyle where I'm helping keep teammates alive and reviving players who are down and stuff like that, then I'd be able to choose Falk for that playstyle, or there might be another Medic type specialist in the game that we obviously don't know of just yet, and so I then have 2 options to choose from in that Medic playstyle, with each of those specialists falling under the Medic playstyle overall, but each having more specific playstyles than just an overall Medic. So for example, Falk has this stim pistol as her specialty that allows her to actually revive teammates from a distance. She essentially shoots them with like a morphine dart or something similar to that, and they can be revived from like 20 meters away, for example. But maybe there's another Medic type of specialist in those 6 unconfirmed specialists. Let's just call him John for this example, and maybe John can use this device that you put down on the ground, and then anyone in its area of effect gets a 50 HP buff to their health. So in that example, Falk would obviously be more suited to reviving players from a distance, where John would be better suited to being right up on the front lines and keeping players alive in the first place rather than being great at reviving them. So both of them sort of have that like Medic crossover where they can both play like a Medic, but obviously each one of them just has a more more specific playstyle that might suit you better than the other one does. Having the specialist system set up in this way really does just give the players much more freedom in the way that they play the game. Not everyone plays the medic class the same, not everyone plays the assault class the same, and now we'll be able to sort of tailor our strengths and weaknesses to a more specific playstyle within each of those typical classes, which is going to be a lot of fun to test out and see which specialists we all like the most and which ones are the best for which situation and stuff like that. Now, the absolute biggest part of this whole system is to do with the weapons, and what I mean by that is that weapons are no longer tied to classes anymore. Any specialist in the game can use any primary weapon, and this means that if you really like sniping but you also really love to play as a medic, well, now you can play like a medic while using a good old sniper rifle, and that's something we really have never been able to experience before in Battlefield. Talking to the devs on why they changed this system up, they felt that more often than not people were actually choosing their class for the weapon type, not choosing the class for the playstyle. So this results in a lot of people playing medic so that they can use their favourite SMG, but then not many of those medics are actually playing the medic playstyle overall. They often wouldn't revive you if you're down, they wouldn't put down health crates for those who need it, they just played that class for the weapon. Now in your eyes, when you're down and there are 5 medics nearby yet none of them revive you, we all sort of think, you know, why aren't you reviving me? That's your only job. Yet in those players' eyes, they're playing that class because they like the weapon. They didn't choose the class so that they could revive teammates, and so now a large part of that problem is going to be fixed, and hopefully it's going to result in people just simply choosing the specialist that they want, not for the weapon options, but for the actual playstyle of that specialist. And that will hopefully result in people playing the way that those typical class types are intended. So I personally think that this is an amazing change from the devs, and it just gives us all so much more freedom in how we play the game. Like I said, I personally love sniping, but that typical medic playstyle is absolutely my favourite. So usually when I'm playing Battlefield, I have to sort of tee up whether I want to play as the medic and use a gun that I don't necessarily want, or whether I use the gun that I want in a sniper rifle but not get to play the overall style that I want to play in the medic class. However, now I can literally just play as a medic type specialist like Folk for example, and then also snipe at the same time, as well as obviously plenty of other variations of that. I can play a more stealthy recon style while using an SMG and stuff like that, and that is super exciting to me as a long time player of the franchise. Now, just quickly before we end the video, like I said, I will go through all of the confirmed specialists that they talked about. Again, they confirmed that there will be 10 specialists at launch and more after launch as well, but they only talked to us about 4 as they obviously want to keep some of it a secret for closer to launch. So we'll just quickly go over the 4 that we know of and what exactly they can do in the game. First up, we have Casper, who, like I said, is a recon class specialist. He was born in South Africa, and as you can see, he wears some sort of ghillie suit, so he definitely looks pretty awesome. Casper's specialty gadget is the OVP recon drone, which is exactly as it sounds, a drone that you can actually manually operate, flying it around and spotting enemies as well as actually disrupting their electronics. And then his trait is a movement sensor, so it's a little vague as of right now, but you can seemingly place sensors around the map and then those will actually spot enemies when they set off those sensors. So as you can see, his playstyle is definitely reminiscent of a typical recon class. However, like I said, you no longer have to use a sniper with this class, so you can use Casper but use an SMG or an assault rifle or anything that you want, giving you even more freedom to how you play him. Now, moving on, we have Webster McKay, and he is an assault class specialist born in Canada. His specialty gadget is a grappling hook, which you can use to obviously traverse the map in a way that no one else really can, climbing up the side of a small building or something like that. And then his trait is called Nimble, so you essentially get increased agility when aiming down sights or ziplining, and so pretty much you can just move faster when aiming, making you a harder target to hit. So overall, McKay just sounds like a really sort of aggressive type of specialist that is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of you guys who just love to pretty much send it at all times. Next up, we have Maria Folk, who I talked about earlier. She is a support type specialist and she is born in Germany. Her specialty gadget is the S21 Surette pistol, which, like I mentioned, allows her to actually revive and even heal teammates from afar. So if you shoot a down teammate with it, they will actually be revived, and if you shoot someone who's not down but just needs a bit of health, then they will also be healed. Her trait is called Combat Surgeon, and this makes her revive teammates back to full health rather than just say half health like possibly some of the other specialists might do. So as soon as you revive someone, they will instantly have full health again as soon as they're up. Now lastly, we have Boris, whose full name is actually Pyotr Boris Guskovsky. He's an engineer class specialist and he is born in Russia, as the name somewhat suggests. Boris's specialty gadget is the SG-36 sentry system, where he essentially places down a stationary automatic turret that spots enemies for you and also fires at them as well. Now his trait is called Turret Operator, and this makes it so that when you're close to a turret, it will actually become more efficient. So if you you place it down and then, you know, you just run off like 500 meters away from the turret, it's probably not going to do that much damage. But if you set it down near an objective and then you're right there with it holding the line, then the turret will likely have better aim and spot enemies faster, and overall just be much stronger than it would be without you being nearby. So those are all the details that we have for the 4 confirmed specialists in the game. Like I said, there are still 6 more that we don't know about right now, and then there will be even more added after launch. So I'm super excited to hear more about those, and as soon as we get information on those specialists, you can expect to see plenty of content right here on the channel. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. Definitely let me know what you guys think of this new system down in the comments. Personally, I think it's an awesome change up that is going to really open up the classes a lot more and let us all play how we want to play with the weapons that we want to use, but I'm definitely keen to hear what you guys have to say on what you think so far. Like I said, be sure to check out the content on my other channel as well. There will be a link down in the description for the other channel, and there's going to be 16 videos in the next 10 days between both channels, all covering exclusive information that we learned at the early reveal event. So if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to subscribe to both channels so you don't miss out on any of that upcoming content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.